Climb aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast, your source for the latest in travel news, reviews, and strategies you can't afford to miss. And now, here's your host, travel expert and road warrior, Ed Pizza.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. We are now on episode 2 of the video world, and as I said in pre-show, boy, I mean, what a great time to decide to move to video right before I was headed to Hawaii so we could deal with all the wonders of trying to bring cameras on the road and trying to find quiet places to record and all that fun stuff. Where I used to be able to just hide in a closet and record where it was quiet. Can't do that anymore because you guys need to be able to see me, so there needs to be light and all that other stuff.
It's always good to come out of the closet, man. So welcome.
Thank you.
To
I'm here.
To the new reality, and that is the Disney's Aulani resort behind you, if I'm not mistaken. You're there with a wonderful view of the pools and everything behind you.
It is, and it's disgustingly expensive.
Yep,
here
that's
for
true.
Everything, which you knew. Here's the interesting thing, and we'll get into this a little bit more.
We had a podcast episode where we talked about this.
We did. Well, and you were here when we talked about it, because you did record one episode when you were here. I think the thing that's interesting that we didn't really talk about in great detail back then, because I don't want to rehash all of it, and we'll include a link in the show notes to when we discussed Aulani before, but we had a split stay here, and for folks who don't understand that, Disney Vacation Club uses points allotment to book rooms. They do have some cash rooms available here at Aulani as well, but you have to have the very specific type of room available, because every room is a certain number of points, and so it's not like a hotel situation where it's like, well, yeah, you booked 2 queens, but we'll give you a king.
There's no upgrades.
You booked room 672. You booked room 935. Yeah. So we had 2 different views. We had, the first one was an island gardens view.
Oh, yes.
And the second one was an ocean view. And so as I'm understanding now, the difference at Aulani in some cases, so the difference between those two is 40% more points for those 2 different views. For us, in reality, what that means is 1 floor higher and about 6 doors further down the hallway. And so I've got a column, and then I've got this little sliver, like you see the column behind me over there.
And then you see the ocean 800 yards that way.
And I've got a window of ocean that I can see. And this is... And when we talk about dollar value, if you're renting points, I mean, this could be an extra $400 or $500 a night.
But you can see that blue sliver, man. So welcome to the ocean view.
Right. Well, and I think what's even more interesting, and I'm going to write a story about this, but I think what's even more interesting is that, and we were talking about this last night, my wife and I, for this same 1-bedroom ocean view, which by the way is a smaller room because they have these little diagonal bump outs in them, whereas the other rooms have a flat facade, so you actually have more square footage in the rooms with the lesser view. I can book a 2-bedroom island gardens view room for the same price I can book a 1-bedroom ocean view room. And spoiler alert, Richard, you've been here to Aulani before, so you know this already, but I'm going to let everybody else in on the secret. If you leave your room and go down to the pool area and walk towards the ocean, you can actually see the ocean. So no need to spend twice as much for half the space.
Yeah, it's weird. Actually, wherever the heck we were in Punta Cana, the Hyatt All-Inclusive, the Ziva ocean view rooms, and it's that exact situation that you're in right now, where you can see a sliver of blue 750 yards that way, and congratulations, you have the ocean view room. So yeah, it's rough. So we don't have to hash out all the details, but give us you just finished your second night at Aulani?
The third night. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday. Yeah, third night.
Just finished your third night. Give us the hot take of the Pizzarello star ratings. That's from a 1 to 738 stars. Where does Aulani fall?
Is 738 stars the best or the worst, just to be clear?
This is your rating, man. I'm not making it up.
Sure you did. You just made up 738 stars. It's pretty much exactly what you and Summer, our buddy Mommy Point, said it would be. It's perfectly fine, adequate. It does not have much of a Disney feel. Cast members, some of them are Disney cast members. Most of them are not. In terms of knowledge and warmth and hospitality. Probably one of the biggest things that's noticeable, for me at least, because I notice this a lot at Disney parks, they're very fastidious about everything being in working order and, everything looking a certain way when you're at Disney World, Disneyland. That's not the case here. It's not horrible, but I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into an elevator and the button for the floor I want to go to just doesn't work. and I have to get out and go to another elevator. So it's just like little things like that where it just doesn't have that over the top wow feel. And part of why we pay so much for Disney is because it is so over the top. That's why we pay. But I could be staying at the Marriott next door for less money and just book Mickey for breakfast and save a bunch of dough. So would I stay here again? Oh man, that's a really good question.
That's a very easy question for me. No, I will never be there again unless someone else is footing the bill. Because there is no Disney touch. I mean, they're very, very Disney light. And if you recall, when we were there, half the kids' water park was closed, and they hadn't told us beforehand that it was going to be under refurbishment and all that kind of stuff. So it is not Disney to us at all. And for the price tag, that is the most expensive hotel I've ever stayed at out of pocket. Won't do it again, man.
Well, yeah, and our buddy Summer bought TVC points here, which I still,
on the other hand,
struggle with a bit.
Summer owns TVC
still struggle with a bit. I do think like our son's still at that age where he loves the Disney characters. So I won't say never, but it's clearly low on my list just because I think you can get so much more character interaction and Disney interaction at the parks. And here, there's just not a ton. And Makahiki, which is a character breakfast here, the only character meal, is bookable if you're not a resort guest. It's harder to book because you can only book 2 weeks out. But it's bookable, and I thought the character interaction was great at breakfast. It was disgustingly expensive, like obscenely.
Why I did not go?
Obscenely expensive, but it was also probably the best character interaction I've had for any character meal anywhere at any Disney park. And what I mean by that is we actually had a pretty good table. Goofy is the host at Makahiki, and he was playing golf with a whisk. Him and Pluto, took one of the spatulas and used it as a baseball bat. Like, they were having a ton of fun. And they were interacting at the tables as well, because the theme for this trip has been nobody in my family helped plan any aspect of it. Not that I'm bitter, but I am a little bitter, because now it's like, oh, well, hey, Dad, are we going to do all this stuff? And I'm like, well, we didn't talk about any of it. I asked you a bunch of times, and we need to get it all booked, and now we're, like, changing stuff rapidly on the fly. And so I had to rebook our airline tickets while we're at breakfast at Makahiki. And so I got my earpiece in, and I'm talking on the phone. I got my laptop on the table, all very, un-Disney Hawaii vacation sort of thing.
I was about to say, tons of judgment from the other tables. Look at that, Dad. Just
working. Well, I'm sure the other tables were judging me, but this is where Goofy was perfect. He picks a banana up off the buffet and literally comes over and starts mocking me and pretends he's talking into the banana as his phone and pretends he's typing on a keyboard. Hilarious. And I couldn't help but laugh. Nothing I could do. I couldn't hang up. I need to book the tickets. But incredibly interactive, and so very enjoyable, right up until the point that they brought me the bill that was almost $300 for breakfast for 4 people.
That hurts so bad.
It really does. It was brutal. And so we ate at the Olelo Room the other night, which was a sushi restaurant, which was actually less than our breakfast. Go figure. You and Summer had both recommended Ama Ama, the restaurant out at Oceanside, and we figured out it's $125 a head, and that's for everybody in the party, including the kids. And it's a 4-course meal and blah, 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 and all that good stuff. But holy cow, I mean, $500 before you add on wine or anything else? We made the decision to pass on that, even though I'm sure the food was great. Did you dine at Ama Ama?
No, absolutely. You said, I don't remember recommending this, because I think I remember seeing that price tag and going, no way we're doing Uber Eats. I didn't eat there. Unless I misunderstood one of your questions. Nope.
You and Summer both you guys both suggested Ama Ama and Monkey Pod.
Monkey Pod
as places to go. Yeah, and I'll go back and look. Maybe it was just Summer that said Ama Ama. I thought that both of you said it.
Did nothing raise suspicions when you thought Kerr recommended something that was $125 a head?
Well, that's where I started to get these serious questions. I'm like, wait, I'm very confused here. Something just does not make sense. It's like Sesame Street, where like 3 kids are jump roping and one of them's playing basketball, and it's like, one of these things is not like the other. That was definitely this.
Yeah, it's pricey, man. All right, so bottom line for Aulani is Disney Light expensive. That was kind of my my feedback from it, which has deterred absolutely no Disney fans that I know from going there. Everybody is still gone, and everybody's kind of come up with the same I think you just got to do it once if you're a Disney fan. But
I agree about doing it once, and I think we're here and the money's committed, which is a lot, and so we're going with it and we're having all the fun and we're spending obscene amounts of money for Mickey bars and all that stuff. But to your point, I don't know that I would. Yeah, I would be hard pressed to do it again in peak season for sure.
Yeah,
if I was here in shoulder season and it was under $1,000
a night, by the way. That's what.
Right. Yes. I would start to think about it again. But yeah, I mean, and I think I'm trying to remember if we talked about this when you came, but I'm also finding man, you really, especially in peak season, you have to have everything planned. There's been a little bit of flexibility on property in terms of, tweaking restaurant reservations and stuff like that, but cabanas and all that stuff, I mean, been booked up for months. Luau been booked up for months. But Luau was booked 3 months out. Had no idea. And so there's just some key stuff about the property that we're missing because we didn't know that we needed to book all that stuff 3 or 4 months ahead of time. So I think we probably would feel better about the experience if we didn't have that piece of it.
Yeah, we kind of found that out there. Not that the Kurds were going to pay whatever price they're asking for the luau and all that stuff. And we actually got a room that's on the other side of the building from where you are. We had a direct view onto the luau, and we watched the entire luau from our balcony for free, which was great. But it's expensive, man. That's just kind of Hawaii since the middle of the pandemic until now. Like, Hawaii is just off the charts popular and expensive for hotels, and just, something, that you learn how to plan for. Which I'm curious now, like, finally, Ed Pizzarello, we're looking at him live, and by live, I mean when you're watching this on YouTube or wherever. You made it to Hawaii, man, which I could not believe when I found out a few years ago you'd never been to Hawaii. You're finally there.
Yep.
I find
48, now 48 states.
Now 48 states. We're tied. We're both at 48 states. Like, what did you feel like landing? And I find the Hawaii airport's one of a kind airports in the world. It's a different experience. You feel like what was your, we'll talk about the Hawaiian Airlines experience in a little bit, but what was your feeling of finally stepping foot in Hawaii and looking around and seeing like it's Hawaii? Did it meet expectations? Did it underwhelm? Did it overwhelm? How did you feel? Yeah,
so hold that thought for 1 second. While you were talking, I did look up the text thread, and I'm going to screenshot it, and I might have to, I don't know how to include a screenshot in the show notes. I'll see if Jeremiah can include it in the show feed. But the question I asked to you in Summer was, which restaurants should I be focused on booking for Aulani? And the very first response is from RK, Richard Kerr, and it says, Ama. So
was that I must have got that confused with that beachfront cafe where you just walk up and do the self-service. That's what I would.
Off the Hook, much better. Yes. Only it was only $15 for 2 coffees at Off the Hook this morning. So
yeah, check that out. Well, I goofed that one up, man. Sorry about that, but
so goof. Nice pun there. So what was my first impression? Yeah, I mean, this is through the lens of, like I said, it's been a haze of clicking refresh on browsers on 17 different things that we've been trying to track down slots for at the last minute. So it's been a little bit shaded by, I've been so distracted trying to get the perfect trip for my kids. I haven't found that relaxation part yet. And I think you guys said that, Honolulu in this area, it would be, like this would be the least enjoyable part of a wonderful destination. We've hit a bunch of traffic every time we've had to leave the property, so that makes it a little bit less fun. It was almost 45 minutes for our check bag when we landed. On the flip side, we did the Hawaiian lei experience when we got off the plane, and the woman who brought us our leis took pictures with us outside and all that stuff. So that definitely made us feel like we were in paradise. We took a day trip yesterday to the Big Island, landed at Hilo. I think that airport is cool as hell. Most of it's outside, which is awesome. And then once you go through security, there's just a bunch of like 1970s lounge chairs with these, Hawaiian cushions on them. And you just sort of like hang out and chill and wait for your flight to board. So there's some very unique things about the destination, and I can certainly see the allure of it. I know you'll ask me this question again next week, but I really hope I have a better feel for the true Hawaii experience once we've been to Kauai and once I have to stop clicking refresh on 17 different browser windows.
You can just not do that. You can just choose to not do that and teach the kids a hard but valuable lesson. I think I'm not nearly as generous or as giving as you. It's time to put the feet up, man, and have some of your fancy wine that I know you and Michelle like, and just, relax and enjoy the surroundings. But I think, Honolulu's tough, right? A lot of people have been to just Honolulu and kind of said the same thing you are. First, traffic there is no joke. It's like you're on a little island with a crap ton of cars and people. I think once you get to Kauai and you enjoy the garden aisle and you kind of get to relax and chill a little bit, you're going to have a lot different opinion. How many more days are you guys in before you go to Kauai?
We got one more day here, and I think like you are for in essence one of my work wives, and so you're saying the same thing my wife is saying, which is the kids will live if you don't book all the things, and yeah, of course they will. But I think me, and I unfortunately have to work an insane amount, been getting up early in the mornings just like you did when you were here to schedule conference calls and keep up on work stuff and all the things. Like our daughter's leaving for college in a year, and I want, when she leaves, I know things will be different. Like, we'll still travel together, but we're winding down this chapter of our lives, and will she have an incredible Hawaii trip? Sure, she will if she doesn't get to do whatever thing. But surfing lessons is one of the things that's high on her list, and I hadn't gotten to it yet. And will it be a better trip if she can tell her friends, oh my God, I learned to surf in Hawaii? I think so, but I'm not going to be heartbroken if we don't make it happen. But seeing as how I know it, I can make it happen. I want to.
Tough to fault you for that, but I do hope you get to chill, because what I'm saying to you is what my wife says to me on every family trip we take. Hey, quit working and chill. And I'm trying to get better about that and actually schedule more than the typical career window of 3 weeks in advance or 2 weeks in advance, and looking out so I can actually have days off.
I think there's a built-in advantage to Hawaii with the time zone in that there's only so much work I can really do, because by lunchtime, everybody who works for me is done with their workday.
That was pretty great,
man. It was West Coast stuff. So that part, definitely, definitely helps. I mean, by 2:00 today, pretty much everybody will be 2:00 Hawaii time. Everybody that works for me will be quote unquote offline. So that'll definitely make things easier unless there's emergencies. But I think, I'm really looking forward to getting to Kauai, and I'm hoping that there's a brief period of time there where I can take a breather and actually relax and enjoy Hawaii. And for folks who are just tuning in, since we jumped right into Hawaii, I didn't cover our basics. If you want to shoot us a question or a comment, you can email the show, ed@pizzainmotion.com. For that social media stuff that we are so good at. He is on all the social media channels at Kerr Points, and I am on all the social media channels at Pizza in Motion. The other thing too, I'm behind on Instagram stuff, but I am live blogging, I guess. I don't know. I'm putting up videos on a daily basis, recapping our trip in the Slack community that we started, which is our version of Patreon. I'm slacking. I'm live slacking. So if you want to become a member of the community and support the show with a few bucks a month and get live updates, ask questions about Hawaii, you could do all that. The link is in the show notes. It's not expensive at all, and we have a lot of fun with that. And then lastly, if you want to text us or leave us a voicemail, that's 571-293-6659. I know we want to talk a little bit about United Airlines and some comments that we're hearing out there from others, but I think you also said you wanted my opinion on my Hawaiian flight.
You had a 10-hour long-haul flight, JFK to Honolulu nonstop on the A330 with Hawaiian.
Yep.
In business class for the four of you. So, yeah, would love to get your brief initial thoughts on that. And that was your first long haul in a while, right? Or you flew to Europe last year, but this was longer than that.
Yeah.
So what's
yeah, by far. This is definitely the second longest flight for the kiddos after Australia, because most of the stuff we've done to Europe has been in that 8 to 9 hour range, and the kids haven't been to Asia yet. So yeah, I think important to note that the reason why we did it this way was because of, wait for the ding, because Bilt had this fabulous promotion a handful of months ago where I was able to double my Hawaiian miles, essentially any 100% transfer bonus. So I emptied out my Bilt account, and I used that to book these Hawaiian tickets. And I booked it in two different fashions. Some I booked with cash and used points to upgrade, and others I booked Saver Awards. So these were significantly less than I would have expected to spend on Hawaiian. And even the Hawaiian price was cheaper than the United price for miles. So that was why we were totally fine repositioning to JFK. The short version, and we'll go into it in more detail after we've had our second flight home, was I thought the product was perfectly adequate. I thought the staff was attentive. Literally, I mean, talk about any domestic U.S. carrier doing this. Every time somebody used the first class lavatory on the flight, a flight attendant went in, wiped down the counter, made sure the towels were restocked. I mean, I've never seen a flight attendant do that, period, let alone they did it every single time. So there were little touches like that. See, like I have definitely evolved in what's important to me. Don't really care about lounges all that much unless I'm on a connection, and we weren't. Pretty much every lie flat seat is fine for me. I'm 5'9", so I don't need a lot. I'm obviously not a broad guy, as Richard was talking last week about how the lumberjacks in Alaska were built like me. So the seat was perfectly fine. Food was average at best. It was probably just a step above United, but it wasn't great. And I would have been perfectly fine with that, other than it is a 10-hour flight. And so about 7 hours in, they offered us bags of Lay's potato chips and some like cream cheese and chive crackers. So, we needed calories on a 10-hour flight. And so knowing that maybe the food wasn't going to be great or maybe the kids wouldn't love it, we packed a bunch of dried fruit and, trail mix and beef jerky and all that stuff. And so we end up snacking our own snacks most flight. But I would say for folks who are taking that flight, whether it's in coach or in first class, just know that you're not going to get a lot of food, and it's going to be okay. So plan accordingly.
So this is the current Hawaiian product. They just released the renderings of their new 787 first class that's coming out. That looks like a pretty significant step up versus what you just flew.
Yes.
And I've flown it once from LA to Hawaii. There are no in-flight entertainment screens, but they do give you an iPad. Are they still doing that?
They do, and the iPad had enough content. Didn't have a ton, but it had enough content. Yeah, not a lot. It was underwhelming if that's your thing.
And
I'm like 7 years behind on TV, so the no Wi-Fi thing. Oh my god! Like I understand that I'm alone on this. Not alone, but I understand it's a small island of us saying, I want to make sure I have Wi-Fi on my trip to the tropical paradise that is Hawaii. I can't be offline for 10 hours. I just can't. And compound this with, if the 787s don't come with Wi-Fi installed on them, now you're adding an extra hour of no connectivity, because as you well know, once they close the door on the 787 with the carbon fiber, you lose all cell signal. So now you've got all your taxi time where you're not connected either. And I'm pretty sure that when we did land and I turned my phone back on after 10 hours of being offline, I think smoke did pour out of the back of it as all the messages came down. It did overheat for a brief minute there.
The good news is Hawaiian has signed an agreement with Starlink, which is the Elon Musk's high-speed Wi-Fi, in order to get that installed across the fleet. Now, what is that installation schedule? You and I both think it'll be done by 2030, or whatever.
It's only been 15 months since they announced, Richard. Only been 15 months.
I'm really hoping the new 787s, which do go into service at the beginning of next year, are a game changer as far as both the product and the connectivity goes. Just because, it's a long flight. It's JFK, Boston, Austin, and then the West Coast for Hawaiian. I think they just don't have enough planes to expand right now. So once they get more wide-body planes, I think they're going to be doing some more service on a nicer product. And there's only 3 rows in first class right now on the A330, like a very small first class cabin.
Correct. Yeah, it was 3 rows. 3 rows, 6 across.
Yeah. So they do right now. They've been again, they're partners of ours that built an amazing team. By the way, they're all native Hawaiians, and they have that laid back, chill attitude. It's awesome to do business with them. I've said, hey, what promotions can we do to help you guys with first class or get our members in first class? And they're like, our first class cabin is so small that, quite honestly, Richard, it's always sold out. Like, we don't have any problems. But when we get the new planes, the new planes will have like full cabins that you're used to seeing on the wide bodies. Yeah. We flew Hawaiian economy back from Maui to LAX in the main cabin extra with the extra space, and thought it was perfectly lovely. So again, looking forward to the new planes, and there are some great deals if you can find that saver availability with Hawaiian. Do you remember how many miles you had to end up paying to either upgrade or to book your flight from JFK? Because
it was a mix.
It's very rare.
Yeah, well, actually, we were lucky. We found, and don't quote me on this, I think we found 3 saver seats and 1 saver upgrade on the way out, and then it was the reverse on the way back. 1 saver upgrade, 1 saver seat and 3 saver upgrades on the way back. We're going back through San Francisco, and I want to touch on something else that you just said too. I wholeheartedly agree. We boarded, with first class, and they actually stop. It's interesting how they do it. They actually don't continue boarding until all the first class passengers are sort of settled in. And so I had time to sort of like scurry to the economy class section, and I sat in both the extra legroom space and the regular seats, and I thought that extra legroom was perfectly fine. Like, I wouldn't want to do it for 10 hours because I'm a spoiled brat, but if I had the ability not to do it, I would do it. But that's everybody. I thought it was perfectly adequate. Yeah. It was only, I thought it was a well done product.
Yeah, I think it was under 5 hours going back from Maui to LAX that we sat in there. So I was like close to 5 hours. So for me and Thomas sitting next to each other. And they still have the 2, so it's not 3, which is great on the side. It's just your traveling companion in the 2. Love that stuff. So that was great. So, I mean, Hawaii miles for upgrades are fantastic uses, and you did that. I think you said a total of 4 times. If you can find that saver space, it's great. So I'm holding off flying them again until they get the new product that I can try out. Really excited about that. I need to recheck my notes and see when that's supposed to launch. I think it's like the very beginning of 24.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, for Hawaiian Miles usage, I think we've used them for intra-island flights here a couple times, and 2 things. One, 7,500 miles one way for main cabin seats is a great value, and plenty of last-minute availability because there's a bunch of intra-island flights. Also found cheap award flights on Southwest as well, but I think that's another good use of Hawaiian Miles if you're coming to the islands, if you're going to bounce around.
It looks like Hawaiian just to follow up on that, Hawaiian put out a press release on May 15th, so just over a month ago. The planes will actually be delivered this November and enter service at the very beginning of 2024. So if you got a January 2024 flight on Hawaiian, fingers crossed you catch one of these because they are super nice looking.
And you might actually have Wi-Fi. No promises, but you might have Wi-Fi. So before we run out of time, because I got to go pay for another really expensive character breakfast, let's talk a little bit about United, because you've now got a pretty good base of experience with the number of United flights you've had. There was, I'll link to this post in the show notes because it talks a bit about, Ben, our friend over at 1 Mile at a Time, talks about how United has added rebooking and vouchers to the app process for when you have irregular operations, which, don't get me wrong, I think is a plus. But I think, he goes on to say about how amazing the United app is. And I really do continue to struggle with this perspective. I still think of United's app as probably and maybe this is unfair to say it this way, the least worst version of the existing apps. But if these were in any other industry and features just stopped working periodically on a consistent basis, like we talked about the known traveler number dropping out, United's expert mode breaks every time you book a ticket now, date of birth changes in the app, flight inventory inconsistencies, I still struggle with how people think that this is a industry-leading app.
Completely new to me from a flying experience as of April, so 2 months ago when I started. It's been 16 segments now that I've flown on United. I have to say, on the day of travel and before the day of travel, my biggest gripe with the app is I cannot find the information I need quickly. It does not default to like my trips, and you can't even click my trips from the homepage. You got to go into my United and then to my trips, and then it has your trips listed out. And I just need like the flight number, or like just remind me the departure time real quick, or let me just check my seat real quick. Out of all of the airline apps, this is the least intuitive to me, and that is my biggest problem. And I remember back in April, my first couple of flights, like without you saying anything, I brought this up, and I was like, dude, I can't figure out how to use this app to get the information I need. And you're like, yeah, but everybody loves it. And then like 2 months of using this a weekly, like I just cannot get to what I need to get to. I mean, the check-in button like isn't there where you need it to be at first, which is I just
right. They have to quit the app and refresh the app to get
find the upgrade
yet.
stuff. You have to go to flight status. It's just like this is not intuitive at all. Delta, from a user experience of this is the information I need and I can get there in one click, or I can like without knowing where to go, it makes sense to go here. Way above United. So when you sent Ben's email again this morning about how it's the best, like I just do not. I think Delta is way above this. Now, this added functionality would have been great. I wonder if it works if you sit and wait for an hour for your gate after you land. Do I get a voucher for that as well? Because that's happened twice now upon landing at Atlanta. My flight to Chicago on Tuesday night was delayed 2 hours, so that would have been cool. I mean, so yeah, I think I will get to use these functionalities pretty soon. But as far as being industry leading from, like, I don't, right there with you as a brand new United person, and now 2 months of using this app, I still cannot find the information that I need, and it is not in logical places.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it pretty well. I think it's so they rolled out these new features 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, that integrate a lot of the update stuff into the. There's that little bubble, and I forget the name of it. There's a little window at the top of the iPhone screens for the newer iPhones, and I don't know how this works for older phones that don't have that bubble, but I think the interesting thing about it is they've changed how you get that information to pop up once you're in the United app has changed since they rolled it out. And as a guy who invests in startups for a living, I love seeing what I call app iteration. So you release your first version of your product, you probably hate it, and then you keep making changes to make it better. And in most startups, I would believe that's what we're seeing with United, is they release the first version of including all these updates that are very helpful when they work right, and now they're working to improve it. Except, to your point, it's moved around to a couple different places in the app. There have been a few times where I go into what they call the Travel Ready Center, which is where I think you activate it, and it doesn't activate it, so I have to quit the app and go back in and click again. And with any startup, I just assume, okay, well, they're working on this. But we're, a solid 10 years into them having horrible Wi-Fi. And so I just do struggle with, is this really getting better? Or is this just going to be this inconsistent experience again of features working, not working? I think bottom line for me is the United app today is better than it was 5 years ago, and it might be industry leading. I still struggle with the ability to use it on a consistent basis.
Yeah, for everybody that's been watching the video and you think I'm not listening to Ed, I've been back clicking in through and around the United app again to bring up all the gripes. And it's, what I like about like the Delta app, for example, if you go to the homepage after you're logged in, all the information, I'm literally clicking back and forth right now. At the top is my trips. At the bottom is today. That gives you all of your flight information. If you want to book, you can do that. It defaults to your home screen with your account. So you have your mileage balance. You know where you are with status. Like all of this incredibly useful information as soon as I am on the homepage versus United is trying to sell me stuff, which, hey, I get it. Like that's how you make money. But it's not an app that I go to in order to like get the information that I need. Now I just preload all my United flights into Flighty, and I go straight to Flighty, and I don't even mess with the United app anymore. And I turned off that whole popping up things on my screen because Flighty takes care of all that, and like I don't even mess with United unless I need my boarding pass. That's like what I do. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I hope it gets better because I think most people don't use Flighty for that stuff. So I do hope it gets better. And it is time for me to go spend a disgusting amount of money on breakfast one more time before we leave.
What time is it there? You're 6 hours behind.
We're 8:45 in the morning. Yeah.
That's what you are. I was emailing Hawaiian Airlines this morning my time while you were sound asleep.
I gotta go see Goofy and spend some more money.
I hope you enjoy Kauai a whole lot. Well, not a whole lot. You're enjoying it whether you realize it or not now. But I hope by the time you get to Kauai,
you're enjoying it whether you realize it or not, Ed. Thank you.
You're enjoying it. Your credit card points. You're getting all the points from this trip. I hope you're using the Bill MasterCard for 3x on your expensive breakfast. They're not charging. Yep. But I look forward to chatting next week after you've had time to decompress a little bit and hopefully have your feet up. I'm really curious to hear about the resort you're going to in Kauai, the Hyatt that you booked. It's like a 3-bedroom, whatever. So excited to catch up again next week once we figure out the recording schedule.
Yeah, we'll definitely figure out recording schedule. There will be a lot more to report on. I think more of the meat and potatoes of Kauai, which you and Summer have had awesome things to say about. There wasn't a lot of travel news out there, so we'll definitely keep scouring the forums to bring you guys topics that we need to cover. But for now, you're getting a healthy diet of what the heck is Ed doing in Hawaii, and which one of Richard or I can make it to 50 states first. So that's and so we need to cover. By the way, what are your 2 states?
Kansas and South Dakota, and I've been stuck here since 2019. So like I'm way behind, just knocking off the last 2 states. But I have
I'm Arkansas and South Dakota.
Okay, I've got to make up an excuse. So maybe we can both go to North Dakota, hold hands, and step across to South Dakota together and finish the challenge as work wives. What do you think about that?
Oh, do we have to hold hands?
Yes, we do, of course.
You had me right up until that point.
Oh.
All right, well, my wife is beckoning from the window as I finish recording. She is still smiling, but hasn't thrown anything at me just yet. But since I'm at the edge of the balcony, I don't want to get pushed off. I'm going to end our special time here. Episode 2 of the video experiment is probably not going super well in terms of audio. Jeremiah, I hope you can make this work. But we wanted to continue the video for folks, and I promise it'll be better when I get home. I won't look like Violet from Willy Wonka, as Richard so eloquently put it last week. More to come on Hawaii Adventures, and we're going to drag our buddy Summer back on to talk DVC in the very near future. Mr. Kerr, safe travels until we upload again. We've got miles to go.